classic good looks. Then I've got my little sister, who's a tall, beautiful blonde. And then I've got my little brother, who's also 6'2", blonde hair, blue eyes. So then there's me. And obviously I'm the odd man out, which was great because no one actually believed they were my brothers and sisters, which is good because they're kind of jerks. So when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, but we did have siblings, which was great, right? Because you didn't need a toy when you had a little brother, right? You didn't need a ball, you just bounce in it. One of the best things about being a kid with that many siblings is that whenever you had a problem in the neighborhood, you always had someone to back you up. Now, they would usually stand way back and wait till you got your ass kicked, and then come help you. So that's great. But being poor was something that we had to work on. Like, we had to deal with a lot of joint gifts. Like, me and my brother once for Christmas got a hockey net, which means he got a hockey net and I got hit with a hockey stick. So that worked out great. My mom bought us an Atari to share, which means my older brother got an Atari and I got whipped with a controller. So that was also great. When we moved to Brantford when I was about maybe 10 years old or so, 1989. So that obviously I'm 25 now. When we moved here, when I grew up, we lived in a very poor neighborhood, and there was a lot of different immigrants living there. There was a lot of people, like two of my best friends growing up were two guys from Vietnam, Tung Tai and Mung Tung. I'm not making those names up, that's their real names. And we had a lot of immigrants from the islands. So I didn't know that there was any such thing as racism when I was a kid until I moved to Brantford. Because like in my entire high school, there was one black guy. There was one black guy, and he was the most nervous dude you've ever seen in your life. And he was the whitest guy I've ever met. Like, he was like Carlton from Fresh Prince, you know, he was wearing sweater vests, but he was still the most nervous guy. And then his life totally changed when a Japanese family moved into the neighborhood. So he was let off the hook. I went to Pauline Johnson. Any Pauline Johnson people here? No? You guys all got educations? Going to PJ was great because that's the only school where the teachers were higher than the students. So it was pretty easy to get through. So as I said, you did not get an education. Our sports teams were the best too. Like, we lost everything every year, so there was no pressure. It was great. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. You guys think you got great memories? Try smoking this pot like I do. Ain't gonna happen. Oh, so, like, I'm getting old now. Obviously, I know I'm getting old. I've got white hair. I recently just pulled an 8-inch back hair out. So that was great. I don't know if I'm getting older and I'm growing a tail. I'm not sure. But, like, I'm getting so much weird stuff starting to happen to me. Like, I used to sit on my porch with a beer, nice sunny day, just sit and relax the weather, and now I'm doing it to keep kids off my lawn. It's a big difference. I realized that the main reason I know I'm getting older is because I'm really starting to hate things. Like, I hate teenagers. They're terrible. I hate them all. And hate is a strong word. I don't hate them. I just wish they would go away and never come back. I don't like their fashion. I don't understand how you can wear a belt, but your pants are still behind your belt. I don't get that. These people, like, they don't bend the brims on their ball cap, and that just makes me mad. I don't like their music. Like, these people believe that Justin Bieber is a genius, and like that's not true. Obviously, I don't know if you've ever heard his music, but you know, I would go Celine Dion any day. Also, like, the way they talk to you really gets on my nerves. Right? I'll be walking down the street, and I'll see a kid coming at me with one of these. Oh, he'll be like, "Yo, guy, got a book?" I'll be like, I don't know what language that is, but no, I do not. Whatever it is you want, I don't have it. Unless it's a swift kick in your way too low pants. Every time I see a guy with those oversized pants, it makes me a little sad because I know somewhere there's a fat guy with no pants. And their whole culture kind of bothers me. Like Harry Potter, I don't get it. I've never been interested in it. I guess I just missed that generation. It's just, I saw the first movie and I was like, okay, this is obviously for kids. And then the second one came out and they're like, oh, this one's called The Chamber of Secrets. I'm like, well, this is a grade school. You don't call the Chamber of Secrets and expect no one to look for it. You call it the Chamber of No Interest or Broom Closet. I never understood that. And you got other movies like The Hunger Games. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Why would they send all their young people off to fight? Like, send some old folks. Right? Instead of dropping food, drop their heart medication. See who left. I think that would be way better. But probably the worst is Twilight. Do we have any Twilight fans? You guys look kind of sheepish about that. Twilight fan? Twilight fan? Twilight fan? Oh my god. Yes. I went to see the first one with a girl on a date because, you know, I'm a man and I'll do anything. So I went to see Twilight and I got to the part where it explained that the vampires don't go outside because they sparkle. And I'm like, no, that's it, I'm done. I got up and I left. I'm like, listen, I'm going to go to the pub. When this piece of trash is over, come over and meet me. But I ain't sitting through this. I left. It's like the Notebook. Any fans of The Notebook? Yeah. The Notebook? Yeah, it's a good movie, man. Yeah. That movie made me think I had Alzheimer's, so I forget I'd seen it.
I love that movie.
You love that movie, eh? Yeah, apparently you do have Alzheimer's. You put out bad and that's one of the things I hate about dates, right? I'm a single dad, and going out on dates is just terrible, because again, I'm getting older, I'm getting frustrated with everything. I really don't like going out on dates. Mainly because I'm really getting tired of women. You know, I wish I could just go gay, but that ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry, guys are getting way too crazy with the beards nowadays. I can't do that. But when you go on a date with a woman, there's a strange thing that happens, all right? Now, woman, you might not even know you do this, but every man who's been on a date with a woman knows this move. Right when you're sitting down, your menu's come, you're looking at it for a few minutes, she says to you, oh, what are you going to order? They're not interested in what you're going to order. They want to know what they can steal off their plate so they can order something else. But they think it's a sharing thing, right? It's like, hey, if you give me a couple bites of your steak, I'll give you some of my garden salad. And I'm like, that's not a trade. That is not a trade. I don't want it. Like, if I wanted salad, I'd order salad. I ordered steak. You didn't order steak, you don't get steak, right? And they always want to know if you're ordering fries. Because they figure half those fries are theirs. And that's not true, right? Those are my fries. Order your own damn fries. Women also, they like to ask you a lot of really weird questions. They like to ask your opinions, and they want to ask your advice. But they don't want your opinion. They don't want your advice. What they want is for you to reaffirm their opinion. So when a woman asks you, hey, do I look fat in this? You're like, no, don't blame the dress. Tell them the truth. Because, like, if you tell people the truth, you're mean. You're insensitive for being honest. And honesty is not about that. Honesty is the fact that you are being honest, right? So every time you lie to people, every time that you facilitate their own delusion, that's the mean thing, right? Well, women also try to get you to go to stuff you don't want to go to. Like, how many of you guys been dragged to karaoke because she wanted to sing the new Shania Twain song? And you're like, no, this sounds terrible. But like I said, I'm getting older, but I'm part of what I think is the best generation that's ever happened. Because they're remaking everything from my childhood in Hollywood right now. So that's proof that it was great, right? Every time that you see like the Smurfs movie or the Transformers, that's all my childhood. These kids now, they're loving it. And I'm like, hey, I was there at the beginning. You guys don't, like, what is the point of remaking everything? Is there no such thing as original thought anymore? Like, why don't they make a movie where the Transformers turn into Smurfs? Like, at least that's original, right? At least you'd be able to see something. They'd be like battling robots. The next thing you know, they're in these little huts. I think that would be hilarious. But we do live in the computer generation, which is great because we have so much stuff now that they didn't have when I was a kid, which I get kind of upset about because we never had Google. I actually had to read when I was a kid. Google is making people stupid. Like, when you go on Google and you type in whatever you want to find out, it just gives it to you right away. There's no searching for the information. There is no learning involved. You're just getting it. How many people here remember knowing your friends' phone numbers? Like, seriously, how many phone numbers do you know now? None, because they're on your phone. But you don't have to remember anything. The computer generation has turned us all into idiots. Because none of us remember anything. None of us need to know anything. We don't need to retain information because Google's there for us. So we're de-evolving our children. Because they're not even learning math anymore. They're learning how to use calculators. Like, that is weird. Like, when I was a kid, you weren't allowed to use your calculator. At all. We got an old teacher right here. You know what I'm talking about. So in all those years you were teaching, did they ever say, okay, you're allowed to use your calculator? Never. You know why? Because you needed to show that you knew it. Right? You had to do the research. You had to put the work in. Now these kids today, they've got this false sense of entitlement. They're like, well, I don't need to know stuff. Because all the information in the world is at my fingertips. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to learn. I don't need to read a book. I'll just get Cole's Notes version of Google. Like the cell phone is a miraculous piece of technology because it connects us to people on great distances, but it keeps us apart when we're sitting right next to each other. Like, how many times have you seen in a restaurant people looking at each other across at a table, nice romantic, and then boom, you're just down at the cell phone. Like, the social media is making us antisocial. Another weird thing I think about our generation is we're the self-help generation. We all want to improve ourselves in some way. And usually it's not even real. It's a little ironic when I hear about these people that go to self-help seminars. Like, you're going to help yourself by having someone else tell you what to do. That doesn't seem like self-help to me. That just seems like being indecisive. Well, because we live in a society of disapproval, not only of each other, but of ourselves. No one wants to embrace their flaws. No one wants to celebrate their individuality. And you can tell because, like, if you look at the subcultures of people, you like goths or punks or rappers or all these different subgroups of people. They all dress exactly the same. And you're like, well, why do you guys dress this way? And they're like, oh, we're nonconformists. I'm like, well, do you not get the problem here? If you guys all wear the same leather jacket and all have the same hoops through your face, that's conformity. You guys are just the worst dressed Nazis of all time. But it all comes back to the nature of reality. Like, what is reality? You know, reality is supposed to be based on your memory of how you recall things and how you react based on those memories. But every time you remember something, you change it. Memory's slippery. You can't remember something over and over again the same way. So, like, say you had a really good hamburger. You loved hamburgers your whole life. And then you had one really bad hamburger. That bad hamburger taints the memory of all those good hamburgers. So your memory is a slippery thing. It's not real. And if you base your reality on what you think about your memories, then you're choosing a false reality. What you need is personal truth. And for me, my personal truth is that midgets are hilarious. I love midgets. I love their little waddles. I love the fact that they run like chimpanzees. I love the fact that their butts are halfway up their backs. But they're cute. And like, I know midgets might not like it being called midgets, but I don't care. We're never going to see eye to eye anyway. But like, see, I actually really do like midgets. I like everybody. Unless they give me a reason not to. And one of the things I really can't stand is intolerance. Like, intolerance of anything, really. Like, I said the word gay a couple weeks ago, and someone got mad at me. And they're like, that word's offensive. I'm like, to who? The Gay and Lesbian Alliance. I'm like, wait a minute. If that's what they call themselves, how could it be offensive for me to say it? And why are they having an alliance? That sounds ominous. Who are they aligning against? Are they have some secret gay Illuminati run by Elton John? Like, that just sounds weird. Like, why do they need an alliance? We don't have a straight people alliance. And like, why would you care? Is anyone here against gay marriage? Against it? Nobody? So you guys are all for it? Yeah, I'd marry a gay guy. Why not?
Not for myself.
Oh, that wasn't an offer. I don't like people who are intolerant of other people's races. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because, like, well, no, that's not true. I think there is one group that everybody should be allowed to boycott and be biased and be prejudiced against, and that's hillbillies. I love hillbillies, but come on, really? It's 2015. How many times can you see a car go fast in a circle? That is just retarded. Well, when you look at it that way, I don't like NASCAR, so does that make me a racist? I don't know. Well, like, how do you, if a hillbilly's chasing you, just make a right. He can't follow you. But, like, there's a lot of things that are out right now that make it okay to be a hillbilly, to make it okay to be white trash. Like shows like Sons of Anarchy and like the Trailer Park Boys. And what was that one with the Hunter, Douche Dynasty? I think that's the one it is. Now, like, that makes it okay to get tattoos on your neck, right? Tattoos on your neck is not a good move to make. Because when you're young, it says, I'm a badass. But when you're 40, it says, unemployable. There's people who are intolerant of disabled people. And all kinds of disabilities. I actually work during the day as a butler for my friend here in the wheelchair. Destiny, stand up and take a bow. No? She's in a wheelchair, that's how she rolls. And like a lot of people call it personal support worker, but I don't like that. I like butler better. I think butler's a more manly term. It was either that or manservant, and there's no way I'm wearing a thong. So we'll stick with butler. Like, I was down in Arkansas once, and I met this girl at a bar. She was working there, and I introduced myself, and I'm like, hi, I'm like Egan. She's like, did you say Regan? My last name's Regan. We could be cousins. And then she winked at me, which is really weird. And then I said, no, my last name's Egan, not Regan. And all of a sudden she lost all interest. It was so weird. I think one of the weirdest things for people to get uptight about is religion. I'm not saying anything bad about it. Like, anything that makes you a better person or make you want to be a better person is a good thing in your life. But you have to understand, it's a little bit nonsensical, right? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Especially if, like, everybody's fighting with everybody. I think I got a great way to solve this issue worldwide. What we do is we take all of the religious leaders in the world, we get them all in one room, and we order a pizza. And we all decide on what we want on that pizza. And that would solve all the world's religion problems. Because you get them all in there, you got the head rabbi and like the head Muslim, and the head, like get the Pope in there, and then you see Scientology, and you're like, get the hell out of here, you're not a religion. So, like, let's give you an example. How many people like pepperoni on their pizza? Like pepperoni?
Yeah.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like, how many of you like pineapple on your pizza?
Yeah.
Oh, you are wrong. You are so wrong. Pineapple does not belong on a pizza. But see, that's just like me and you. You like pineapple on your pizza? Me and you, we just get half pineapple, half no pineapple, right? Why can't we do that with real religions, right? Because it makes no difference. Like you sit them down, right? Okay, and you're like, hey, we're going to order a pizza. What do you guys want on it? I'm like, how about pepperoni? And he's like, no, that's pork. We can't have that. I'm like, okay, that's out. I'm like, hey, what about some ground beef? The Hindu's like, no, we can't have that. And I'm like, okay, well, Dalai Lama, what do you want? And he's like, the pizza will be what it will be. And I'm like, that's not a topic. You can't have that. So after we go through all this stuff, what we can and can't have in our religious pizza, all we end up with is saucy bread. And that's just terrible. No one wants to eat that. So I think that would make them see that all their differences are a little bit stupid. Now, as I said, I'm a single dad. I do have a little 5-year-old girl. She's for sale on eBay right now. She's healthy. She's got all 12 fingers and all 12 toes. When I found out I was going to be a dad, I thought, great, I've always wanted to go to Mexico. But obviously I couldn't do that because I'm not allowed out of the country. Now, people told me that having kids was going to be really hard. And I'm like, kids are easy. It's the other parent that's the problem. Like, kids are a joy. Especially when they're babies, because you just put them somewhere and they just sit there and wiggle, and that's great. And then they grow up, and then you have dirty little fingerprints everywhere, 3 feet high across your house. Who doesn't like that, right? Like, when they're little, it's easy to entertain them as well. You just shake your keys, and they're good with that. You can put on Barney for a while, put on some Teletubbies, which is some of the creepiest shows I've ever seen in my life. But the bane of my existence has to be Disney. I cannot stand Disney. I did not watch it when I was a kid. I do not get how these kids get so crazy over the Disney movies. And I don't care who you are. You could be the baddest, nastiest gang leader in the world. If you have a toddler at home, you are still watching Frozen. You don't get away from it. It gets in your head. And I know all the words to every song in that movie. And if that's not a reason for suicide, I don't know what is. But as I said, having kids is hard. Mainly because they have so much more energy than you do. So every time they want to get up at 6 in the morning and jump on your bed, you're like, hey, Daddy doesn't wake up till noon. I don't know what you think you're doing. Go back to bed. But one of the best things a parent should have is weed. Marijuana is the best thing for a parent because there's no way you can watch 8 hours of Scooby-Doo unless you're high. I'm not a pot advocate. I'm not a pothead. I've never had a poncho. I've never worn Birkenstocks. I've never had dreadlocks or anything like that. But I do smoke pot. Those people that identify themselves by the stuff they like to do is ridiculous. Like, these people who buy High Times magazines and put posters on their wall and get pot tattoos. And then you walk into, I know a guy that's actually got a pot tattoo on his neck. If that is not the most hillbilly, unemployable move in the world. And it's like, hey, I'll be here late, and I won't be able to do my job correctly. And as I said, I'm not a pot activist. I don't think people should smoke pot unless you want to. And then try not to smoke as much as possible because I want some too. I smoke as much pot as I can to keep it off the streets. So that way the kids don't get it, right? I think I'm doing a public service. But I don't want pot to be legalized. because I don't want the government handling my pot. They're incompetent. Like, I wouldn't get my 5-year-old to do my taxes. Why would I want the government handling my weed? That's just a bad idea. Look what they did with beer, right? We got a 300% tax markup on beer in this country. Like, it's getting really expensive to be an alcoholic. But people will believe in anything for one of two reasons. They either want it to be true or they're afraid it might be true. Right? If someone tells you a lie and you want it to be true, you'll believe it. Or if you're afraid it might be true, you will believe it. There are still groups out there that go searching for the Loch Ness Monster. And why? Because of this. One blurry photo of a guy in a lake doing this with his hand. That is the ultimate proof that Loch Ness Monster is real. And I think that's proof that the Sasquatch is real. Because people were getting hot on his trail, so he took that photo himself to get the heat off of it. Right? That's proof that Sasquatch is real. But not the Loch Ness Monster. The point of that joke is to be a truly intelligent person, to be a smart person, to be accepting person, what you need to do is question everything. Every time you see something that smells a little fishy, question it. And don't take it home for the bargain. That one is bad. Okay. This is the point of the show where, hey, do you guys like knock-knock jokes? Anyone?
Yeah.
No? I hate them, so I'm not doing it. But I do like impressions. Anyone like impressions? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah? Do you like impressions?
Oh, yeah.
Do you do an impression of anybody?
No.
Anybody have any impressions? Because mine are terrible.
I heard that.
You heard that, eh? Well, I've got some good ones, I've got some bad ones. Okay. One of my favorite accents to do is, like, when I'm going through the drive-thru, when I order my stuff from the box, I'll do it in a funny accent. So when I get up to them and I talk the way I do now, they get a little weirded out. They think they're giving me the wrong bag. Like, I'll go up and like, I would like 2 large doubles, please. And they're like, okay, is that double? And they're like, okay. And then I get up to the window, I'm like, oh, do you have those 2 large doubles? And they're like, are you sure that was you? And I'm like, I think there's something wrong with your box. Here's something that I do. I do an impression of Sean Connery. As I said, it's really bad. But it's my favorite Sean Connery quote. And this is something that he actually said in a live interview. Someone asked him what he thought about, like, domestic violence or something like that. And this is his actual quote. Sometimes you have to smack a bitch. And I thought that was hilarious. Okay, now here's another one of my favorite impressions. I don't know, some of you guys might know it, some of you might not. It goes like this. That's great. That's my ex-wife. Now, my favorite impression to do is something that my friends ask me to do all the time. And that's the reason why they call me the White Aaron Devil. Okay. Here it goes. The White Aaron Devil. Okay. I don't know much, but I know I love you. And that may be all I need to know. Thank you. That's Aaron Devil. I thank all you guys for coming out here tonight. As I said, I'm a local comedian. I'm still fairly new at this. I'm trying hard. This is what I want to do with my life because I really have no other skills. And I thank you guys coming out to this wonderful new establishment. Looks great in here. What I think the main thing, what we're missing with our society today is that feeling of community, right? So coming out together, local places, meeting the people, supporting local comedians, supporting local establishments, that's all nice. It's something we need to do. When I was a kid, I knew all my neighbors. I don't know any of my neighbors today. I don't know the guy who's living next to me. I don't know the guy living across the street. We don't have block parties like we used to anymore. And that's crazy. So in the spirit of community, I would like everyone out there to think of their favorite joke of all time. I will tell you mine, and then I'm going to open this up. Anyone who wants to tell their favorite joke, or just a joke they heard and they think it's funny, come on up. Okay. Now, this is my favorite joke of all time. I was on a trip to Portugal, and I met a very interesting man named Giuseppe. And he was a very talented man. He's like, you see all them houses down there? He's like, yeah. He's like, I build all them houses. But do they call me Giuseppe the house builder? No. See all them boats? I build all them boats. But do they call me Giuseppe the boat builder? No. But you fuck one goat. Okay. Here's one more of my list.
That's enough.
Second favorite.
Second favorite joke. Second favorite joke. Adam is in the Garden of Eden. And God comes down and it's like, hey Adam, how's it going? He's like, I don't know, I'm a little lonely. He's like, well, I'll tell you what, I got an idea. I'm going to make you a mate. Right? She's going to be beautiful. She's going to be smart. She's going to do all the things you say. She's going to cook all your meals. And he's like, that sounds great. He's like, yeah, but it's going to cost an arm and a leg. So Adam thinks about it. He's like, what can I get for a rib? I'm just joking. I love women. They're great. Yeah, they're awesome. Okay, anyways, that's my show for tonight. As I said, I'm going to leave this on. If anyone wants to say their favorite joke, come on up here and tell it. Anybody? You're Googling some Googling some jokes? I wrote these jokes. I don't Google. You see what I mean about the Google, folks?
We know, Mike. We know.
You see what I mean about the Google? See, I know jokes. I write jokes. He's Googling jokes right now. That's proof. Okay. Anyways, can we get a hand for our hosts, Audrey and Phil? Thank you so much for letting us do this tonight. Okay, so I'm going to leave.